What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Scott of Zao. So great to be able to talk with you today, man. Thanks for being here.
Dude, my pleasure. I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah, it's super happy to have you here. Glad we could finally make this happen. So, the newest album is The Crimson Corridor. Being that this was the first Zao album since 2016 with the well-intentioned virus, which makes a lot more sense now in 2020, 2021, I gotta say. But
Yeah.
was this intended to just be a follow-up to that album, or was this kind of like a new start for Zao in a way?
I think we never really look at records that way. Like I don't I guess it's a follow up, but we kind of like we just keep writing and writing. And then we try really hard to be cognizant of like how we like release things. So like we had an EP come out after Well Intentioned Virus that like were songs that could have ended up on Well Intentioned Virus. Just for some reason we felt that, and I mean not for lack of the song being whatever, but felt like felt they were better like as a 5 song thing. And then we've done some 7 inches in between here. And then Crimson Corridor, like some of these songs were we actually 2 of them were recorded for like Well Intentioned Virus era time or whatever. But they just neither of them worked really well with any of the stuff we were releasing. So kind of held them back, and we're glad we did, because it ended up being that these ones really fit with what we were doing now. But yeah, it's like more of a feel thing, I guess, man. Like we just kind of release records, and when the records come together, we just kind of feel it out and see how they feel together as a whole piece. Because we're like, like 42, dude, so I'm still album guy. Like I always look at records as like a whole record piece. So like, we really kind of maintain this like whole whatever amount of time, like 11 song, well Crimson's kind of long, but we look at like our songs as like a whole album. So this one, some of the songs felt really really good with these other few that were written later. So
Yeah.
but yeah, sorry, long-winded. I guess follow-up would probably be the best.
Yeah, I like the long-winded answers, so don't hesitate. But
Cool.
yeah, and you also not only do you have a lot of albums, but you also have like a fairly experimental sound. People have labeled you as metalcore, post-hardcore, hardcore, anything with core in it. But like
Mm.
I feel like when you like compare albums such as Awake to All Else Fail to coming back from 1995 even to like where Blood and Fire Bring Rest, like it almost seems like there has always been like a new approach to every single Zao album, right?
I think we just kind of try to push ourselves, not in a way where people. I mean, that sort of sounds cliche, because like every artist wants to like push their boundaries or whatever. But like we always try to like do things that we don't necessarily know if we're super comfortable with, but we feel good about, I guess is a good way to say it. So like, with every record, there are things that we know we want to like keep intact, and then there are things that we all listen to that really don't have any like real basis in like the metal core scene or whatever. So it's always really fun to kind of like mess with that kind of stuff and bring it into what we're doing, because like all of us listen to so many different things. I mean, we listen to like anything from, I mean, the prettiest music of all time to like the most gnarly heavy stuff. So with Zayo, we like to kind of like introduce like melody and beauty in a way. And now we're doing it differently, but like I think we want to introduce that stuff. And I mean, all of us like being a little older, like there's just so many different music styles we like. So to incorporate all of it and not have it sound like super out of place, I guess is kind of cool. But I think what we do is we just like so much different stuff that we always try to like do little things in the records that, or even in the songs that kind of give us that ability to open up and play some of the stuff. Because like, I mean, regardless of whatever anybody, Zayo's always going to be like a heavy band.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
we're always going to be like metal, right? But but man, like I love really melodic stuff. I love really pretty stuff. I like some of my favorite bands aren't even close to heavy at all. Like Sunny Day Real Estate is probably my favorite band of all
I
time.
love that. I love Sunny Day Real Estate. So
Yeah, so it's like not that we can necessarily sound like Sunny Day, but we can have little parts here and there that kind of use that mentality, right?
yeah.
So I think that's what we do. We just push boundaries in a way that, like, because we listen to so much different stuff.
Yeah, and I think that because again, like I think that keeps it fresh every time, and like
Mm-hmm.
to be able to bring in all these different elements, I think is what keeps the Zao catalog interesting. Like, does it ever start off with a preconceived idea though? Like, do you ever go into the studio being like, okay, we want to do this on the album, or we want to have this on the album, or is there like a lot of trial and error and a lot of improvising involved?
I think we kind of just have an open palette. Like I don't think we ever like put any kind of box on ourselves, but we always do like regardless of anything we do, I am always going to be a fan of super violently heavy music. So as long as we have a few just burner, violent, heavy songs, everything else we can kind of just play around with. So like even with Crimson, so like there are some of the I think some of the songs on Crimson are like the heaviest songs we've ever done. But then there's like the prettiest songs we've ever done. So I think we always maintain that like look, we want to have songs on the record that like as a like for a live show or like for a live situation we know will be just like pummeling and brutal. And then as long as we have a couple of those, we do let ourselves kind of experiment and get a little more spacey and weird because we all like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And kind of going back, and I'm sorry if you do hate this sort of label, but like going back to that sort of core sound that a lot of people associate you with, I think you are
Sure.
almost kind of like a smorgasbord of it. Like I see elements of bands like Converge or the Dillinger Escape
Mm-hmm.
Plan in Zayo's music, but I also see elements of like Shadows Fall or Killswitch Engage. I see elements of
Sure.
bands like Quicksand or Poison the Well or even Glassjaw. Like I see a lot of Glassjaw influence in the Zayo DNA as well. So I almost think that like you're it's not just having different sounds, but I almost feel like you appeal to multiple generations as well.
That's actually pretty awesome because like we're all as a band, I think that everybody in the band is we're like just fans of music and we're fans of the style that we even play in. So like Converge, I listen to Converge pretty regularly. Cave In's one of my all-time favorite bands of our scene. Glassjaw I do love. I think that we definitely like. I don't think there isn't a band out there, and I'm sure they they can sort of say this, but like everybody's influenced by everything. So, um, all the bands in our scene that we really like, Poison the Well, all those bands that have come up, like we definitely are fans of. Love being kind of put in that same category with those guys. Like, are honestly humbled that some people even put us in like the same categories, like a Converge or a Cave In or whatever. So, I do think that we do have some influences from a lot of the stuff that goes on around us. But I think what might be coming out though is that a lot of those bands that we sound have similar sounds to, like probably are influenced by the same type of things we are.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, liking Cave In, the reason I like Cave In is because of what they do, right? So like I guarantee you that Brodsky's probably a fan of the Beatles and like early like I love Jeff Lynne and like ELO. So like there's all these weird little things that all of us probably like that we don't even like consciously realize we're putting in our music.
Yeah.
um, and it might be because we have a lot of the same influences that kind of come out.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, Cave In, like I said,
yeah,
go ahead.
Brodsky's also a prolific artist. I mean, he also plays in Mutoid Man, and Mutoid Man's
Oh, dude, yeah,
amazing.
that
Yeah, and I see a lot of like,
everything he does, yeah,
yeah,
everything Brodsky does, we are just, I'm in awe of that guy.
he's like almost like the Dr. Dre of the post-hardcore movement. He's like everywhere and knows how
Mm-hmm.
to make it work. But going like circling back to Zayo as well is because like every album that you have I think has its own unique rule behind it, and this year is the 20-year anniversary of the self-titled album from 2001. I remember being in first grade when that album came out. But like yeah,
Oh
sorry to
man,
make sorry to make you feel old.
that's
I
all
do that with
good.
everybody, by the way. But like, do you almost look at every album as almost like good like self-portrait or a good representation of who you all are at that particular time?
Yeah, that's actually a really good way to put it, because I think like as what's really neat for us, you know, we listen to records and we go back to those older records, and it really is a snapshot of like who you are at the time. You know, Dan will be writing about stuff. I mean, and I think that's the biggest key to it, because like Dan's lyrical content usually is influenced by like his personal experiences around that time. So even though like we don't put out records for specific reasons, like there are things that he observes that he uses to write with. But yeah, like I think that it's really neat to go back and listen to a lot of that stuff and realize like where we were as people. You know, see some growth. Like I think too, what's really exciting for me is like to go back to some of like the self-titled Liberate, because I started on Liberate, so Liberate self-titled Pray to Chaos, and then see the like evolution of how I've been as a writer from all that time, especially like coming into seeing how things are now. And it's weird too, because like as a guitar player and I guess as a songwriter and an artist, it is sort of interesting to see how I because I like personally I feel like, you know, with Well-Intentioned Virus and Crimson Corridor, there's like a maturity and there's a lot, like as a guitarist there's things that are happening that like I wouldn't have been able to probably do back in like Liberate self-titled time. And I think like as a guitar player, I look at what I'm doing and I feel a little more like accomplished, sort of. Not that I think of anything about myself, but like I feel like, wow, I did something that was pretty interesting there. And I can look back on some of those older records and be like, well, I was playing open C for half of the time. So it's like as a guitarist, I can just see like how I've progressed. So it's kind of neat for that. But it's weird how songs work, and I think that's what I've been paying attention to a little more, is like, you know, a song like 5 Year Winner is like super simple. I mean, the solo is a little whatever, but like it's pretty much a very simple guitar playing song. Or like even like things on Blood and Fire, like Lies of Serpents is half the song's just playing open C, right? But the way that song hits compared to like say Haunting Pools on Well-Intentioned Virus, Haunting Pools is like ridiculously hard to play. And it's weird how people view a song like Lies of Serpents compared to a song like Haunting Pools, because like in technical theory, Haunting Pools is a more accomplished, better written guitar song, but Lies of Serpents overall hits people in a way that it like it's not I don't like to think songs are better or whatever, but like people look at that song as like something special to them. Haunting Pools might not be, but Haunting Pools is like, as a guitarist, pretty tough to play. So it's really interesting to look back on that stuff.
Yeah, and I also think it depends. Like, there's songs that like I may not, if I'm like going through an album, like, you know, I might find some songs that I might skip when I'm like having a listening session, but live I would love to
Mm-hmm.
hear it because it just works so well in a live setting.
Yeah.
So like, and also like I'm also like a situational listener, so sometimes I listen to certain songs in certain areas, and sometimes I can't listen to certain songs when I am in a certain place because it just doesn't feel right. So I ultimately think it depends not just on the song itself, but where it's being listened to as well. I mean, how many people? I like to think that some people have given albums negative reviews just because they were hungry or they just were having a bad day when they got the album. So
I, I think that's a good point, because I think all art is totally subjective. There are people that are going to absolutely love the things you do, and there are other people that are going to hate the things you do. And I think I mean, I would hope that people that review records would be unbiased and try to like look at things from, but how do you even do that as a music listener? Like, how do you, because there are certain things people are going to like we saw there was a review that was done for Crimson Corridor, and one of the like negatives that the guy talked about was how oppressive the record sounds. Like he's like, I'd listen to the record and it's just, there's so much like sadness and like all this stuff with the record, and it's like overwhelming for me that like I didn't I got to the point in the record where I was like a little too much. It was too much for me. But what's weird, like that's kind of what we wanted,
yeah,
because the record does focus on some dark stuff. So like to him the negative was that it was too overwhelming. To me, the positive is it's too overwhelming.
Yeah. So
So it's like, yeah,
yeah,
it's weird.
you can't make people happy all the time. But
No,
when it
no.
comes to like the sound of Zao, because I know that you contribute like the clean vocals as much as Dan brings in his vocals, and I know he writes from a very
Yeah.
personal spot. So when it comes to maybe
Hmm.
either tracking the clean vocals on your part, or I don't know if you contribute so much to the lyrical writing, but do you almost have to like maybe put yourself in Dan's shoes a little bit, or be in a similar headspace to kind of add to his vocal style as well?
Yeah, I think. Well, the nice thing is that me and Dan have been writing together since 1999, so we really do like work off of each other and really understand each other. And I understand where Dan's coming from with a lot of his lyrical content. But to be fair, there's a lot of times where my main focus as a songwriter is like I'll get the song and we'll write. You know, as a guitarist, I write the guitar, and then I have ideas for melodies for vocals. But usually, what I'll do is I'll just like kind of say gibberish, like not like I mean there'll be words, but my main focus is like the melody of how the lyrical content goes, like how the singing part goes. I never step on Dan's toes lyrically, and the only time we ever use anything or keep anything that I write lyrically is when it actually fits perfectly. So Dan is kind of the like last, he's like the arbiter of what's going to be said. And sometimes it works out that like I'll have an idea and I'll write lyrics, and those lyrics actually work, and it's really weird. Like the song on Crimson Corridor, Lost Star, there was a lyrical, I sing like a little part in sort of closer to the end of the song, and a lot of those lyrics stayed. But to be fair, a lot of what I know and how I write has been totally, because I'm inspired by Dan. I think Dan's lyrics are, and it's a bummer to me because I think Dan's lyrics are probably some of the best lyrics in our scene, and he doesn't. I don't think he gets enough credit for like what he writes because his stuff is just so. I mean, he blows me away every record we do. So when he is, you know, nice enough to keep anything I write, I'm like so overwhelmed because
Yeah.
I look up to his lyrics so much. I look up to him as a lyric writer so much.
Yeah,
So,
and what's great,
but yeah, sometimes.
oh yeah, what I was gonna say is what's great about him is that like, cause when you look at like on albums such as the Funeral of God or something like that, or even a Parade of Chaos, like I feel like he's able to take lyrical inspiration from multiple sorts. He writes from a personal spot, but he also you could tell that he looks into the reality and observes a little bit, and maybe takes inspiration
Mm-hmm.
from external sources. And this isn't to say that it's a bad thing for other artists, but some artists like Zach De La Rocha is not going to write really about like his about a breakup anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like you know, and I feel like a band, I don't know, like Sabaton is not who sings about historical elements is not going to really sing about love anthems or modern day issues. So I think really when it comes to Zao, every song could be about anything, and that is,
Mm-hmm.
I think, very very difficult to do.
Yeah, I mean, Dan has actually talked about it, how he likes to write, and it's weird for me because I'll read his lyrics and I'll see like Dan's like full personality on them, right? But he's able to write in a way that, even though, like, for example, like a 5 Year Winner, right? I mean, it's pretty specific. It's about a person that hurt him, and he like even names the person in the song. But the way he has written it, it's still like able to like let people just take that person and turn that into the person that hurt them.
Yeah.
So like even though he says "Dear Tiffany," it doesn't matter. Like what he's saying about that person is so like generalized to like from for and I mean so many people we know, like there's a lot of people that have had that same hurt, so like they're able to look at that and use that song for themselves or whatever they need to get through, and it doesn't even matter that he specified it. Like it's still so, it's done in a way that like you can be open and you can kind of like attribute your like whole feelings to it. And I agree. I think that's really hard to do, and Dan's really, really good at it.
Yeah, definitely. And the final question I wanted to ask you actually is kind of going back. You said you weren't in the band when it formed, but maybe you have sort of like a take on this, being that the band originated in
Sure.
West Virginia, because there's only
Hmm.
one other band I know of from West Virginia, and that's Byzantine, which I think has a
Oh yeah,
completely
we
different.
yep.
Yep, they're great. And
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
there is a great up and coming band from West Virginia called Curses. Really really cool.
Hmm.
I would check them
I'll have to
out.
check that out.
Yeah, but was there kind of like a scene in West Virginia that Zao cultivated in? Because showing people who've never heard you before, they assume one of two things. They either assume that you're from Massachusetts or you're from Brooklyn. Sometimes I'll get Orange County, California, but like,
Weird. Okay.
yeah. So
So I guess the bummer from like the so I we all now are based in like suburbs outside of Pittsburgh. So all of us, like the band's kind of like a Pittsburgh band, I would say.
yeah,
Um, I I joined the band when Jesse was still in the band. So Jesse, like when they formed the band, they were like everybody in the band was just all West Virginian guys. Um, I do think that Zao kind of did help attribute to some sort of West Virginia anything, because I don't really, I mean, like you said, like Byzantines from there. There's very little bands from that area, and I know like every time, even when I joined the band, when we play West Virginia, the Zao shows were well attended. It wasn't like there isn't a scene there. You know what I mean? Um, Unfortunately, though, like with us all being from like a small town out of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's more like my speed, and I'm a little more like what's the word? Like I understand the Pittsburgh scene a little better than I would understand the West Virginia scene. But yeah, there's not. It doesn't seem like there's that many metal bands that come from there, and I do know like West Virginia is a little more probably like country based.
yeah,
If you'd say like I think of like if anything comes out of there, it's more like country music. And I know a lot of that stuff kind of like originated. Like there were a lot of bands that or a lot of things that came out of West Virginia that were that sad. But like the metalcore hardcore scene, I don't really know of other than Zao and like Byzantine
yeah,
that really came from there.
yeah. Well,
Um,
Curses is the
but
new
I do
band.
know, yeah, and like I got to check that out. I'm glad you brought that up. But I do know like talking to Jesse, like I don't think there was much anything going on until Zao kind of put well, in words of this scene, put that on the map a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I remember any Zao show we played in West Virginia, man, where they were well attended shows. So there's a scene there for sure.
Yeah, well, I think you kind of had the Slipknot effect because, like, Slipknot's from Iowa, and
Yep,
apparently, I heard.
not much there.
Yeah, this is okay. So this is a rumor. I don't know if it's true, and I'm putting the emphasis on rumor. So don't
Okay.
people, but like, apparently the reason why they have 9 members is because there's really nothing to do there. So that everybody just like a lot of people just wanted to join. Like, oh, there's a band forming here. Oh, cool, I want to be in it. And like, and now everybody knows Des Moines, Iowa. Like Slipknot, like the people of Iowa need to be grateful for Slipknot, whether you listen to them or not, because that put Iowa on the map. And
Oh, dude, it totally did it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I think like with the rural areas, one advantage is that like like I love the New York City hardcore scene, but like and I love the Massachusetts metalcore scene and the Tampa, Florida death metal scene and all that, but it just seems like it gets so melted together. Whereas,
Hmm.
you go to like a rural area, like, I don't know any bands from Omaha, Nebraska, but if there is a metal band, they're gonna be the metal band in town. So it is kind of a
Yeah.
way to sort of I think it's a good marketing tool. Be the only metal band in your town.
Well, I think too, like where we live. I mean, I live like 30 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh's pretty known for like some punk bands. Like Anti Flag came out of here. A band called Ozrod came out of here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool punk stuff that came out of Pittsburgh, but like we're not really known for metal. And a little bit now, like Code Orange kind of has really helped
Oh
put
yeah,
Pittsburgh on the map, I think. So
definitely.
like but I mean, Pittsburgh was something of sort of weird like underground punk scene, and there were a lot of cool bands that never really got known that came from this area. But like you were talking about, like where we live is pretty depressed. Like Greensburg area, Latrobe, like it's kind of just like there's nothing to do. So it really does mimic sort of the Des Moines, Iowa thing, like where like there's really nothing to do. You either had like people that like went into just like a 9 to 5 shit job, or you had guys that like got fucked up on drugs and like that kind of thing. And then there were a bunch of us that like just started playing music. So like there was a really cool scene that was built around nothing to do, and all these bands existed because I mean you either there weren't really good opportunities. So like maybe you do this. Luckily, we had a few people in our area that were willing enough to like let younger guys play shows, and like some of the like smaller clubs around here like didn't do the pay to play shit. So like you were actually able to get into these clubs. I mean, like the metal shows in Pittsburgh, like you'd have to like sell tickets for, but there were a lot of areas around us that like just opened their doors to like let younger guys play, which I think really did blossom bands around here. Like, Zao, most of the members now, like all of us are based out of here, but like, I would assume, I would say that like, because of that, like, I mean, I'm here because of those people that opened those doors. Juliana Theory comes from around here. And same thing. Like, I don't think either of our bands would exist without the people that helped us play shows without having to pay to play. Cause that's a tough thing, man. Like being a young band trying to sell 50 tickets, like that could literally make or break your
I've
stuff.
seen bands
So,
try to do it, and it's like so, like I try to,
it's bullshit.
yeah, I try to put myself in the promoter's shoes because I come from a family of business owners as well. So like
Yeah.
like I tried like okay, the venue needs to make money, especially in this freaking city where rents are just astronomical, like
Yeah,
and
it's
maintenance and
nuts.
all that. Like, it's if you're a promoter or a venue owner and you own a place like in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where like like I'm not gonna like say that the venue owner is like a shitty fucking like person for that, but but at the same time, it's like with the pay to play, like it doesn't seem like anybody wins. The bands are out of money. Like the bands are
Yeah.
lucky if they can make their cut. Even if the venue, all the money that the promoter has to make probably has to go to the headlining band anyway that's touring through there.
Yep.
So like
Yep.
it just it almost seems like it's real. I've always said that pay to play is like, forgive the vulgar analogy, but it's like shitting on an escalator. Once it reaches the top, it goes back around and gets a whole lot shittier and comes back for more.
It's shit. Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Like I think, and I don't know the best route to go, because like I think if you bring touring bands in that people want to see, I personally, being a band guy, not a promoter, I think of it like, okay, well, let's get a band in here that's fucking great that like people want to come see, and then let's put on our local and build that local up, and then the local will eventually have enough fans if they're good enough that like they can do their own shit. And it just, the whole pay to play thing seems like, well, if the headliner that you're bringing in doesn't bring enough ticket sales, then why are you bringing him in as a headliner?
Yeah.
Why do you need that opener to sell the tickets? Because the dude that's headlining should be the ticket guy, should be the reason why those tickets are sold. Why does this little band that's like just trying to start out and make a name for themselves? I mean, I think too, and that's especially with around here, man. That really saved our asses.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why all of us, like, because like me, like every member in Zao, me, Dan, Russ, Jeff, and Marty, all of us came from the same scene in our area. There was never that. It was always like, luckily we had a bunch of friends that would come to shows and pay, so that helped. But it was never the pay to play stuff. I think the pay to play stuff would have ruined us. I think we would have all quit.
Yeah.
I just don't see how that helps build a scene.
Yeah, and I remember, I'm not going to mention what gig it was, but there was a pretty known headliner one time at a show, and there was 9 locals opening up for for the headliner and the 2 bands that he was touring with. So 12 bands.
Oh
Like and the show was in the middle of nowhere. Like to take the train there is like an hour and a half, and like and the show started at like 5, which means the headliner probably didn't go until like 3 in the morning.
Oh,
And
that's bull. Oh, that's craziness.
yeah, like I I I understand why people do pay to play. The bands do need to make the everybody needs to make money, but like yeah, if you I think get a good headliner and somebody who's relevant as well as promoting new bands. I think like that's really what we need and stop.
I agree, dude.
Yeah, like I don't like the former member of this 80s band that had one hit single that we don't even remember that was popular for 5 minutes is not a headline worthy sort of thing.
No, no, and I like you just said, like I think you bring in the right bands. I mean, that's to us and to like the way we've always worked our band is we come from fucking shit. Like
Yeah.
we come from like nothing. Like I'm not
You have the
even
DIY
now, like,
charm to it. That Zao has
yeah,
the
like
DIY
dude, like
charm.
I just know what it's like to have nothing. Like and there's no competition in us, man. Like we really just want our scene to flourish. Like I don't care about me personally flourishing. I think we and the mentality we always hold is like we will flourish if the scene flourishes. So like every time Zayo's ever done a headlining tour, we have always treated our openers no different. I mean, obviously they're going to make a little less money because they're starting out, but we don't want them to make no money. We want, we always talk about them. Like there was a band we took out called Yashira. Yashira was kind of like an up and coming band that Good Fight signed. Me and Dan, they got on some of our shows in one of our little runs at Florida, and we just fell in love with the band.
Yeah.
And then we asked them to come out with us. We wanted to make sure that they made enough money that it was worthy for them. We don't make them price match because why would we do that? Why would you make a band that's like starting out sell shirts for $30 when you're selling your shirts for $30? It's just insane. I just feel like the best way to get your scene to really move, unless your main motivator is just making money.
Yeah.
But like if we want everybody to like be picked up and like lifted, like I look at every band as like more friends, and I want to see everybody succeed. I don't want to see anybody fail. Like I don't feel like there's competition between any bands. Like I'm happy where we are. If we have the ability to help any band, that's all we want to do. Like I just want people to be able to do what they want to do. I think music is this special, like there's no such thing as magic. All that's bullshit. But I'll tell you what, music is, and I want to like be able to like hold those people up that play it, and maybe we can like change shit because you have a bunch of cool dudes that like do something that actually means something to somebody.
Definitely.
So like competition, all that stuff never meant anything to us. Like we were always just like, man, we just want everybody to be able to do what they want to do. We want everybody to be part of this. We're very inclusive with everything. So our openers were treated just like people that were main supporting, just like people that were co-headlining. We love everybody. That's kind of how I thought. And I think that's how originally like the hardcore scene existed. That's why it did flourish and it did make changes. But I mean, I don't know. Things get bigger and everybody changes their mind, I guess.
Times change, people change, art is life. It evolves. But I'm trying to stay optimistic about the future.
Yeah, yeah, we need to. Yeah. We definitely need to.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time and for such a great conversation. Is there just anything else with Zao that you would like to promote, like any live shows that are coming that you're going to be on, or anything else you'd like to plug for the Crimson Corridor?
Well, yeah, we actually are doing Furnace Fest, which is coming September 24th.
That lineup is so good.
Dude, like our day is, I can't even, like, I think about it and it messes my brain up. So like we played the day that Converge plays, Cave In plays, and Every Time I Die plays, and I mean Misery Signals. There's so many bands on this thing that like we've been friends with. Further Seems Forever is one of my favorite bands.
Why the fuck does it have to be in Alabama? That show needs to be in Massachusetts.
That show they should travel that freaking tour because it's just there's so many good bands on it. And Berlin, like I can't even explain how excited we are about the bands that are playing, but. So we're doing Furnace Fest. I do think that there's something that's going to happen, or we're going to do some things prior to Furnace Fest that we haven't announced yet. So we're going to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, I would like Furnace Fest. I don't even know if it really needs any kind of promotion. I think there's
that lineup speaks for itself.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, and if you don't know the lineup of Furnace Fest, go look it up. Oh my God, that is every metalcore, hardcore fan's dream. Like, oh my God.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Like our day is mind blowing.
Who's headlining your day? Is it Under Oath, Taking Back Sunday, or Killswitch?
I think Under Oath headlines our day.
Okay.
Taking Back Sunday is, I think Killswitch is Sunday, Taking Back Saturday, and then Under Oath's our day. But dude, like I don't even know how they're gonna do it. Like Andrew WK is playing Sunday. How is he's not? I don't know how he's not the headliner or whatever. But so yeah, like our day, you have Converge, Cave, and every. I mean, to me, like those bands should be the headliners, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, and but the thing is like Under Oath, we've played with Under Oath forever. Actually, Chris from Under Oath, keyboardist, helped us with one of our songs on Crimson Corridor.
Oh,
so that's
yeah.
kind of a nice thing. I would love to have that dude come out and play with us, but obviously, like Under Oath's just on another stratosphere. Like they're on a different like planet than we are.
Everybody in that band is in the same scene. I think you're all are going to be playing each other's sets somehow.
I know. I just it's almost too overwhelming. I talked to Chad, one of the promoters. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to handle that festival. It's just going to be too much.
Yeah, I like I would love to work it, but I don't know if I'd be able. Like I would be doing interviews and just like not paying attention to what the guy's telling me and just like, looking at the stage the whole time.
Yeah, you just watch. Yeah,
yeah.
That's how we're gonna be, dude. The whole time I'm just gonna watch bands. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, but thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Scott of Zao. Be sure to check out the Crimson Corridor. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.